I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
For AutoSave, welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Oshi No Ko Season 2, Episode 4. Last episode, we left off on a massive cliffhanger for me, which is Abiko going to see a stage-round play in the setting that Tokyo Blade will probably be just the same as, you know? I think it might have a lot of a chance to change her perspective about the entire writing process.
This isn't a high school gymnasium that this is taking place in.
Fair. True.
Do you think we'll see it? Do you think we'll get to see her reaction in the same way that we got to see Aqua's reaction?
I hope so. I could easily imagine we don't, and we just see her leaving it, or just like a fast forward in time. But I would love to be able to see the actual reaction of all the different, elements that make up that atmosphere that we saw through Aqua.
It could be that we just jump to seeing an aftermath.
Yeah.
That has context that we would then fill in based on whatever that aftermath is. Like, does she immediately call up someone and want to meet with Goa? Then we would be able to kind of fill in the blanks of how she might have felt during. But
selfishly, I want to see it, and I want Goa to somehow be there because he wrote it, and I want them to interact.
Why else would we have hadn't seen Raida like seeing them? In the same way, like I'm gonna think, is Goa gonna see Abiko there? I
want Goa to get the flowers he deserves. You ready? Sweet. Yes!
He's having like nightmares about it.
Abiko's been spotted in the crowd! Departing.
いやー、まさか先生にお越しいただけるとは。用意しましたのに。いかがでしたか？
どういう感じなんですね。思ってたのと全然違いました。とても参考になりました。
それは何よりで。だったら現場のみんなも喜んで。
でもライダさんだけですよ。
先生。
I love the tonal shift.
話しませんか。すごく弱い立場にいます。同一性保持権を行使するのは先生が持つ当然の権利なんです。頭に入れといてください。先生が書いた脚本はマジのマジで。
私的には全然構わないんです。
いいえ、ちゃんと考えてみてください。役者の稽古期間を確保するためにそのまま通す可能性があります。天才小説家がいたとして、そいつが初めて書いた漫画のネームが
あるわけないです。
舞台脚本だって同じです。いきなり最高の舞台脚本は書けないんです。無駄な舞台になるでしょうね。
脅してるんですか？
お互い様ですからね。僕は舞台に関わる100人以上の仕事を守らなきゃいけない。ジジイのの1本や2本る覚悟で仕事してるんです。
何なんですかそれ？
この舞台見てくれたんですよね。
You wanna know?
今回の脚本はゴア君のものです。彼の仕事を信じてみてくれませんか？
歩み寄りなさい。
Meet them halfway.
メディアミックスは他人との共同制作。
So what is halfway?
自分だけではできないことの集合体なんだから。
私もプロの仕事を信じます。ただし一つ条件が。
なるほど。こういう感じになりましたか。クラウド上のテキストデータをリアルタイムで。
I love it.
それをこの場でアビコ先生とゴア君が通話しながら修正していく。
Perfect.
プロデューサーとして許容できるギリギリのライン。
じゃあ早速始めましょうか。
Come on, Goa.
わかりました。原作者と脚本家は仲良くなるか仲悪くなるかのどっちか。いうのが原因で揉め
The
て。
character and Prince Messiah are often spots.
仲介屋の仕事と
Knock
して
that into shape as we proceed.
一つだけ恐れるべき懸念点はある。鬼が出るかジャが出るか。
ブレイドがならず者を倒すシーンはカットしていいです。剣がブレイドの性格を理解できるようなセリフ。
だいぶ原作の展開から離れませんか？
いいんです。大事なのはキャラの柱なので。
なるほど。ち
Look.
ょっとずつ先生の許せるラインが見えてきました。刀を肩に置きながらセリフというのはどうです？
ああ、ありあり。
Look at her
Direct
happy.
communication.
ここはこういう感じで。
どうして？
イメージしづらいかもしれないですが、旅感出るはずなんで。
なるほど、ありですね。引き出しは私にはないやつで。
This makes me so happy.
You got a good one.
Oh.
Oh, we're gonna tell him.
そのだいぶ好きでした。
普段はああいうの書いてるんですよ。
あの漢字出してください。
いいんですか？
得意なことは
Let's keep on playing up your strengths.
それじゃあ、
Oh.
ここも舞台効果で済ませちゃって。
ここもカット。こっちも演技でどうにかなりますよね。
Oh, look at how excited she
攻めて
is.
ますね。
カットカット。
They cut too much.
Yeah.
Shoot, we need to
There's
like
3 pages in
add
the
some more
entire
scenes.
stage round
ゴ
play.
ーさんのおかげでかなりいい脚本になりました。
ええ、本当に。先生、皆様。
お先に失礼します。
失礼いたします。
ゴア君。
いやー、なんか楽しくなっちゃって。
やっぱり危惧した。
Oh no.
クリエイターが団結すると尖った作品になりがちなんだよな。行くしかない。これがうまくはまればすごいものになるの
It's
も
just a
わかる。
lot.
Is it maybe more risky? More dependent on the actors? I don't know.
まったくとんでもない脚本が上がってきたわね。
Something like completely new?
がゴリゴリ削られてやたら
Oh,
どうにかしなきゃいけないシーンが多い。役者の演技に全投げのとんでもないキラーパス脚本じゃない。こっちのせいってわけね。
Wow.
だいぶ無茶ぶりが過ぎるんじゃない
Somebody go comfort Melt.
They have limited time.
これならさや姫の解釈は私と合ってる。
Nice.
それどころか新しい一面も発見できる脚本で。でもこれはやるの難しいわよ。
俺は問題ない。
ゴアさんの脚本の癖出てるな。
何度か出てて勘どころはわかるし、問題
I guess the other one maybe didn't even feel like a Goa script.
証明するチャンス来たな。
新しい脚本にノリノリだけど。
こんなんできる気しねえよ。
No, you got
まで
this.
あと半月。
You got it,
間
Mel.
に合うのかこれ。こんなの朝飯前なんだ。
I don't know.
いや、どうだろうな。
よーし、始めるぞ。
陶器。
さや姫。
ストップ。トウキ、ここはお前の一番の見せ場だ。もっと本気で。
すみません。
戦闘の最中、重傷を負い、倒れたさや姫、劇的に目覚めたさや姫を目にして、トウキはどういう感情を抱く？
Like imagine seeing I again.
強い喜びと希望。
そうだ。お前は確かに原作通りの演技をしている。舞台はもっと強く感情を出さなければ。
Yeah, you have to like exaggerate it to a certain degree.
感情を引き出せ。ここは感情演技のシーンだ。
まあまあ、アクアくんは舞台初挑戦だし、ちょっとずつ合わせていけば大丈夫。甘やかしちゃダメ。
Oh, I love
ア
Kana.
クア、あんた感情演技したことないでしょ。人格が出るのよね。アクアは普段から感情を表に出さない。にも感情が出てこない。見本通りに再現することしかしてきてない。アクアの性質の問題。分かったようなこと言うんだね。この中でアクアと一番付き合い長いの私だしそれもちっちゃい頃からの知り合いだし、幼なじみみたいな。最近知り合ったどこぞのビジネス彼女
Oh
で
my
は
god.
言うて再会したのここ最近だろ。分かってる。有馬の言うことは全て正しい。俺は感情演技ができない。涙を流す演技なんてもってのほか。
We know you're gonna do it.
言い過ぎたかも。でも私が言わなきゃ誰も。
どうやって泣き演技をしてるんだ？
感情泣きとか体泣きとか手法はいろいろあるけど、使われてるのはアクアくん、お母さんが死んじゃったらどう
Holy
する？
shit.
大切なものだと思い込んで泣く手法ね。陶器は生きてるさや姫を見て喜びに包まれる演技すればいいわけよ。あんただって嬉しかったことの一つや二つ。
嬉しかった時の記憶。
Aw.
Look at his face.
楽しんでるんじゃねえよ。忘れるな。お前は救えなかった。お前にそんな権利は。
Holy shit.
おい、なんだ、どうした？
ただの立ちくらみです。落ち着くまでちょっと休んできます。
貧血？
二日酔いじゃねえの？
金田一さんじゃないんだから。
あかね、彼女だろ。そばにいてやんなって。
はい。便利な設定。はい、お水。
ありがとう。
発汗、ふらつき、顔真っ青だよ。ちょっと横になった方が。家の人に連絡して迎えに来ても。
やめろ。妹には知られたくない。余計なことを思い出させたくない。
誰かに迎えに来てもらった方が。
だったら。
いや、俺はこいつのパパじゃねえんだがな。
You're not?
君は。
Is the girlfriend gonna learn a little bit more about him?
俺の知らないところではやることはやってんのか。
ごめんなさい。突然押しかけてしまって。
あいつの事情知ってるのは俺くらいだしな。別に初めてのことじゃないしよ。
前にもこういうことあったんですか？
まあ、彼女っつうなら話してもいいか。あいつは昔、それやひどい事件に巻き込まれてな。たまにああなるんだ。
PTSD、被害症のフラッシュバックってことですか？
んだ。あんまり家族に心配かけたくなかったんだろうな。完治したふりしてよ。そりゃ忘れられねえよな。俺ですら多少は引きずってるんだから。俺は仕事してっから様子見ててやってくれ。
鼻をつく錆びた金物のような血の匂いが少しずつ冷たくなっていく手の感触が。
お前がもっと注意していれば、って守っていれば。
愛。
Holy
信
shit.
奉する。14年前に亡くなったアイドル。愛はアクア君と同じ事務所でアイドル活動をしている妹はビーコ町を復活させた。愛に強い執着、心的外傷、子供の頃に巻き込まれた事件、愛の殺人事件、複数犯の可能性、同居しているイチゴプロ代表の名前は
Akane's detective work is coming.
養子と里親、
Oh man.
実の父親、兄弟が星の姓を使用する理由。愛の名字は公表されていない。愛には実は隠し子がいるとか。
愛。あかね、どうして泣いてるんだ？
ちょっとね、怖い想像しちゃった。もしそうだったらって考えたら悲しくて孤独だっただろうなって。私は何があってもアクア君の味方だよ。一緒に抱えてあげるからね。
何の話だよ。
設定の話。
Oh. Okay, that was Oshi No Ko Season 2, Episode 4. I feel like the writing in this show is so psychologically, like... I almost wanted to say manipulative. Like, it's just so well thought out that I feel like they're in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, I'm specifically talking about, like, okay, great, first 3 episodes of this season. Like, I haven't forgotten anything about the show. I haven't forgotten what the first season was and where its strong points were and where its dark points were and where the characters were at. But within the first 3 episodes of the season, we are within where Aqua is. Even if we're not focusing on him, he has lived a life, so much so since his previous life and the trauma that he had as a child, that we are in a completely different situation in his life, and we're immersed with these fleeting memories of the horrific past, and we've gotten out of it to some extent. And yeah, we're on a quest for revenge, but we are a bit desensitized and further away from the immediacy that was that darkness. And the way that, not only the method that they use to be able to convey and show Aqua reliving the trauma and feeling the trauma approaching him, but the way that they were able to show the impact and heaviness that the darkness had really resonated with me. It really messed with me to that same extent of, like, holy shit, like, I'm almost having, like, I feel like Aqua to, like, a very minimal degree watching him.
I think that it's pretty funny timing that in the discussion of the previous episode, I brought up how seeing I in the crowd in the OP of this season, I feel almost like emotionally manipulated to feel a certain way when I see that. And that the memories of the prologue flooded so, like, just the dam opened, you know, and the feeling as a viewer that I feel during that moment of the OP is that I'm about to be brought to tears. Like, it's almost like it's evoking just the bare surface of a trauma response, like just literally grazing the top, because it's not like it actually could be. And I think that that's really crazy, perfect for whoever, you know, storyboarded what the OP was gonna be, decided what the imagery was gonna be. I think that a lot of people that were a part of this collaborative work, they knew what they were doing. And they knew the material.
Even within having a sister that experienced losing her mother in the same way, Aqua's experience is so unique and isolated that how Akane hit the nail on the head of, he is so alone and isolated, not only with his identity and him being the son of I, but the unique situation that he experienced in holding her hand. And I love that narratively Kana was the one to bring it up in such a, like, imagine if your mother died. That, like, in terms of childhood acting, like, you always hear, like, beginning of acting, like, tech, to try to convey an emotion, you try to feel it to the best of your capabilities, and the easiest way to do that is an imagine a situation or recount a situation of sadness or trauma, right? But it's never to, like, the degree that Kana didn't obviously know, but it's never to the degree that Aqua actually experienced. It's legitimate PTSD. It's true.
I think that I was catching on to something that you said when you brought up, like, how Akane's realizing that Aqua is incredibly alone here, not just because of the fact that there is secrets from the public, and so obviously who he is and who his mother is something that he has to be alone in, but if we're taking the context out of it in terms of, like, the show and Aqua and if we're taking the context and the characters out of it and we just think about what was said as, like, someone else's perspective of this PTSD and the reason why he would be alone or isolated, it's very realistic to say that if someone had previously been given counseling for an issue, that if it were that you might want to have this perseverance face that is shown to the rest of your family that you're okay, and that if you do falter, you wouldn't be so ready to let them know that it was still an issue for you. And I think that with that, like, if we just take away the context, like, that in itself is really isolating and really realistic, that people will often, you know, they might not be perfectly better, but they might portray that it's no longer an issue for them, just for their family's sake.
Well, like it was said in the episode, how the fuck would you be better? How the fuck would you be able to get over it? There, like, to an extent, like, if you're trying to make as far as I'm concerned, like, when I'm watching a show or, like, trying to take in media of any kind, I'm trying to understand what the characters would feel or think as if they were living people, right? You don't ever get better, you in the sense of, like, oh, yep, I'm over that now. That's not how trauma works. That's not how life works. You get to a point of being able to process things without, and being able to leave the house, you know. But to a certain degree, man, the way that they really conveyed the isolation that Aqua feels, not only because we know a lot, it's obvious to us, but through Akane's deduction, it really sets in. Like, when you get the flashback of Akane bringing up Ai to Aqua, like, if you're in Akane's shoes and you are conceiving this idea out of just the evidence in front of you, of course, the first thing you do after coming up with the idea is recounting every instance you had with Akane that has to deal with Ai, and then thinking, like, what the fuck was he thinking when I brought that up? What was
you
he
might have done to him without knowing that you, like, a hurt that you might have caused for Aqua that you didn't even realize that you did. And, like, you can't blame yourself. Like, Akane can't blame herself for that, because it's not, like, because she didn't know. There's no malicious intent there. I think that having her realize and put these pieces together, it's really interesting that Kana has a line in this episode about how kind of convenient it is for the fact that Akane is the girlfriend, so that she can be the one that is allowed, you know, and it makes sense to everyone in the room that she would be the one going to comfort him. And in the same way, Kana obviously doesn't know what this encounter is going to be like, but it sure is convenient for Akane that she gets to be the girlfriend, because that she blushes when she's asked about being a girlfriend, that it is perceived that she is truly a real girlfriend and not a marketing girlfriend.
Do you think Kana has any... Okay, if Kana's here instead of Akane, does she put things together? I don't think she does. I think she might, but I think that maybe it's just because of how well built up Akane's character has been in relation to Ai and her research within that I feel so strongly that, oh, it had to be her. And that's just good writing. But, and that might be, you know, muddying my view of, like, if Kana could have figured it out, because I feel like it had to have been Akane here. But it's just so interesting.
Okay, so on that, narratively has to be Akane.
Definitely.
So that's one point. Kana, I wouldn't say that I would think she wouldn't be able to figure it out through this or deduce it through this. What I would think is that narratively you'd have a different handling of the situation.
Gotcha.
I think that Akane's personality, other than the fact that what happens here makes complete sense to us from what we've already known of her in terms of her research and piecing things together and how she's able to do that, her response to him is a very her response to him. She does not tell him that she's figured it out. She's able to, I think, just put herself in this position where she's like, I'm gonna be by his side as this champion for him in secret. And, like, Kana, I think that she would want to be there for him, but as a character, how would she be able to handle? She's also very close to Ruby. Yeah. And I think that for her to piece this together or to know this, she would be in a tougher position as a character of having to almost keep this secret that she knows this truth about two very best friends of her.
It's interesting because, like, there's focusing on the fact that it's a secret or putting that immediately aside not caring about it and how big of a bomb it is to drop, and solely focusing on what I can say to immediately make Aqua feel any chance of feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take it a step further in any type of way in Akane's response to Aqua after he wakes up here, Aqua is immediately thinking, holy shit, she knows. How does she know? What are the repercussions of she knows? Do I it's like he needs to go into defense mode. Like right after he's coming out of an episode.
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario. So like Akane handled it absolutely perfectly. Yeah. I do have to wonder, like, based off of what she said down the line, if it's not something I don't think Aqua couldn't put together that Akane knows based off of what she said, but just not immediately.
I think that it might have to come from further conversation of like, oh, well, what did you tell my girlfriend while I was asleep? You know, something like that. Like him finding out things that he knows her and he knows how she thinks and that she is very researched and she is very intelligent. I'm sure that he would possibly get there after hearing that she heard about certain
It was
things.
such a vague... okay, yeah. I think it would make sense if... It's such a vague story that was told. Long ago, he got caught up in a horrific accident. When he recalls it, he sometimes ends up like this. But if that was told to Aqua, he'd obviously put it together. I agree with that.
Because he knows the other evidence she was able to use. The other evidence she used makes complete sense. Reviving Bikomachi, you know, who it is, the fact that they are adopted children, you know, and just timeline of things. We don't know Ai's, you know, we didn't know her family name.
Oshi No, yeah.
I think that if he knew what is said to her or found out, he will probably start to suspect. But I don't know if narratively that is the direction you'd want to go with this character. What's currently happening to Aqua, I don't think you'd want to undo it. I think that him starting to suspect what she knows and why she's acting a certain way toward him would undo some progress that could start happening in terms of like a healing process.
Yeah. Remember in season 1 when we were still pretty young as characters, we brought up the idea that like what is memory after reincarnation? Do you get to a point that your reincarnated self continues to grow and your presence in memory starts becoming more of a percentage and your past life begins to dim and in terms of memory and who you are? It's so subtly and smoothly done that to a degree that it's scary to a point, because that other past self, you lose more of the details, and what sticks is more of the motive and the strong emotions that you had.
Right. It's almost like it becomes this like pressure chamber of like a haunt.
Yeah, which is what we see.
Is what we literally see.
Yeah, the figure with the glasses.
And like we've had moments where we know that there are things that obviously we know who Ruby was.
Yeah.
And the two characters have never conversed with each other about what those pasts were. And I can only imagine that there are things that Ruby's going through alone and isolated at the same time as, like, obviously for this specific instance of this episode, Aqua is the one that literally saw the gory, traumatic thing happen.
Yeah.
But we know that in Ruby's past life, she went through something incredibly painful, incredibly traumatic, and then in this new life, in new chance,
she's able to do things now that she never could. Yeah.
And I feel like in both characters are incredibly haunted by their past selves, and to what extent they can completely recall more than just a pressure chamber exaggerated feeling, I wonder. I think because of how we see what I imagine is his past self depicted in this episode, it does give me as a viewer the idea that this is not something he can very completely envision and remember and recall, and more so just like this presence or feeling.
Well, it's like, what the fuck? Like, you don't get to enjoy this shit. You fucked up. You didn't save Ai. You need to focus on the mission at hand and get revenge.
It's
like,
so, like, and it's like, God, I'm gonna like cry talking about it, but the fact that like we get a line about how he got counseling as a child, but it's like if you have PTSD as a child, like, yeah, it's great to be put into counseling, but you should probably be continuing with that, you know, throughout your life, and continue to have people checking in on you, because it's not like all of those things that come from that are going to be eradicated forever just through talking to someone for a certain period of time. Like, having the counseling as a child right after the traumatic incident is 100% a good thing.
Yeah.
But it is not something that is going to completely save you from all of the bumps that are going to come along. The self-hatred, self-loathing, the other, almost like a separation within yourself that's going to happen of like your inner child versus like the voice that is going to constantly be telling you that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Or that you are the reason for this horrible thing happening.
It's not like you were a glass of water, you broke, the water poured out, therapy, you're a new glass now. No, you're a glass that is being put together and held together. Like, you don't just reset. You are always going to live with that.
And this is going to seep in through different moments of your life, even when you like least expect it. A moment, it's like triggers, obviously. Like the moment that you start to feel anything that can almost be, in the same way that I want to think of it as like a haunting, the moment you give that like what has been like a separation or a disassociative new presence that's within you, the moment it is fed something that it can latch onto, it is going to start tearing you apart again. Okay. And you need to consistently be able to feel like safe.
I would like to talk about what Aqua needs to be feeling in terms of once Princess Saya wakes up. Mm-hmm. To do that, I want to go about what Aqua's interpretation of what acting or what emotion needs to be conveyed. Mm. And that is, what emotion would wash over? Release from his anxiety. Mm-hmm. A strong sense of joy and hope, I suppose. Now, in trying to convey that, I have one idea that could potentially exist. So kind of brings up the idea of like imagining if your mom died. Mm-hmm. I believe that comes from a completely fictional scenario. When I hear a release from anxiety and a strong sense of joy and hope, I imagine Aqua thinking of what he will feel like once he kills Ai's murderer. That's what I imagine him like.
The current, his goal that he's been, living
a release from anxiety,
Yeah. I think that from the OP, what part of me could latch onto that would be what could give him that he doesn't perceive as something at the moment that could give him that is this idea that we see Ruby watching him on stage and him looking like he's actually really enjoying it and her looking so proud, and then we see Ai in the audience smiling. Yeah. I think that this performance in itself could be something he doesn't even know that it could be for him.
Yeah. I misspoke there though. About getting his revenge. Obviously, it's like finding the father who set up the killer, right? But like, yeah, sorry. But do you think that Ruby will inevitably see Aqua's performance and connect it to like what happened with Ai? Or see something within Aqua through the performance that would like be like, holy shit, where did that come from?
I think that if she's lived with him for this long and the people that, as Kana says, I'm a childhood friend of his, I know him better than anyone else in this room. Like though they might have kept, at least Aqua's end, kept very much in a shell. I mean, Ruby was definitely keeping things secret from him as well and hiding things. They don't truly know each other like 100%, but they know each other a great deal because they've grown up together. I think that Ruby would be able to watch this performance and see that what's on the stage is true emotional acting that is activated by real emotion.
Yeah, I wonder if it would be like an outsider's perspective. Like if you had the context that Ruby does, it would be like, oh, this is what Aqua would have felt like if I was able to wake up then and didn't die, but, was able to get back up miraculously.
Wouldn't that have been a different show?
Yeah.
That would have been a wildly different show.
I loved the conversation between Goa and Abiko. I loved
that
seeing...
was a part of this episode.
Yeah.
I almost forgot that was a part of this episode.
It was so wonderful. I was so scared that something wasn't gonna... obviously, it wasn't it's a kind of scary outcome because of the, how much the actors are going to need to step up. But I thought it was such a cool way of conveying it, too. I loved having, the shared Google Doc, and you could see Abiko and Goa's names highlighting and deleting things at the same time. It was great.
What do you think it is that is the issue with the script? Is it purely just that now it's going to be so heavily on the actors to portray everything?
Because of the content of the story and how, big, how much potential it has. It's going to be it's going to be great if it's lived up to, but it's going to be difficult to live up to it.
Yeah, I think Kana might have been the one that said the line, now all of the pressure is on us.
Yeah.
And obviously they're given a very short period of time to figure this out. It seems like everyone within the theater company is
yeah,
I'm cool with this. There was a remark that this script now has the markings of Goa, which I wanted to talk on that line because I found that incredibly interesting.
I think it completely comes from Abiko being I want you to convey that same emotion. And he was well, that might change up some things. And she was no, please do that.
What it takes me to is the fact that when she sees the first script that he comes up, it's not even the first script. It's whatever after the game of telephone, what it became. She has this feeling that she thinks very poorly of him. She thinks that he is changing the characters. He's not good at his job. And I think that with this new script, what you see is him, before, the old script, that was him, I think, that trying to appease too much, changing too many things. It wasn't actually his work anymore. It wasn't how he would have wanted to do things. It wasn't anything that held his true talent or intentions.
He was trying to do a good adaptation from what he thought Abiko wanted, but through the chain of communication, obviously wasn't the case. Now it's perfect. Dude, shout out Abiko. Mm-hmm. She was she had such great moments this episode of being okay, you're right. I want him to do it under this one condition, and that only condition is being directly communicating with each other. It's, and then her being no, this is why we do it. It's just, you can't lose the essence of the character. And that clears everything up for Goa. He's oh shit. Okay. No, I see how you want to approach that. And then that's all he needed. Him being him having a clear understanding of how she wanted to approach it was enough for him to offer several suggestions that led to her being oh no, you're right. I do trust in your expertise. That's a great way of conveying motion and travel. You're so right. It so
makes
cool.
you just think that this is so unfortunate that this could have been the process of which creating this and the anxieties that so many people went through didn't have to happen. I know that Raida, obviously, I completely believe him when he's this type of interaction, even with a mediator, is something that could completely blow up in someone's face. It could really cause these two people to completely sour and have a horrible relationship. But at the point that we're at, we have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
We already have a sour relationship. So all we can do is go up from here, hopefully.
All right. That's all I have you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how Akane and Aqua act together next.
Oh,
After
true.
this,
especially from I didn't even think about how Akane might change, but with the added knowledge she has, I think it could make their interactions with each other be a lot more genuine, deep, and probably make Kana pissed.
Do you okay. This is not trying to say that this would be fucked up for her to do, but in the scene that she recalls, it wasn't even a scene, it was a real life thing for them. When she brings up I first to Aqua, and she's recalling this in this moment that she had brought up I and she had channeled I in order to bring out like a confidence. Do you think that when she's hugging him, we see the stars in her eyes? Do you think that she will try to aid him emotionally on stage by channeling I again?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's possible that like
it
she
depends.
might go that route in order to help bring him to that place where he's able to like put his heart on the stage.
It depends how the situation plays out and how desperate it is. Like if it's like Aqua's about to get fired, or oh shit, we're live, Aqua's not doing it. Like then I think she would do it.
Do you think it would need to be desperate?
Maybe.
I mean it would be
in how thoughtful Akane is. I would imagine you wouldn't want to risk trampling over or like causing a trauma response or a panic attack in real time.
But if you're seeing that this could be a therapeutic or cathartic thing for him to finally process or let out true emotions, I'm not saying she'd be like, I'm gonna purposefully channel his mom. But I feel like her having the ability already to do that and remind him of his mom is something that I think she's probably going to be aware of now. That her acting and her confidence on stage, that she will be able to lead him to a place that could be incredibly healing for him while also a great performance.
Yeah.
But also it could be something that she'd be scared to do. Like she might be scared to remind him of her.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting point,
Just something to bring up.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we hope to see you next time.